welcome everyone, and thank you for joining. We are on the Real Raw officially. Some of you may know what that is. Some of you may not. Some of you will learn along the way. And I guess Victoria and I are your fearless leaders through the next hour and a half together. And it's an opportunity for a lot of dynamic people, which we've invited and will be joining along the way, to get to know one another, to share who we are in the world, and then think about how are we influencing others and how do we go about that? And what are some dynamics we could think about and learn along the way? And Victoria, I'll segue over to you. How do you want to kick this off and introduce and get this thing going?
Yeah, thanks, David. So I'm really excited to be here today. I'm noticing people are just joining, so we're just going to intro and introduce ourselves. But Real Raw kindness, Real Raw is really, really important to me because I love getting people together who are in the field of helping other people, but we don't always know how to actually share our influence in a way that feels okay to us, that, you know, we don't get the chance to always practice that. So for me, David, it was such a nice thing to collaborate with you on this, but to get together such an incredible group of people that have so much synergy, it's incredible. So I'd love to start maybe just introducing ourselves and then go on to introducing some of our wonderful guests. You want to go first?
That sounds fantastic. I'd love to, unless we want to let ladies go first. I'll be a gentleman.
Thank you. I will go first. So I'm Victoria, and I am part of the Unblinded community. And I would say that I would introduce myself as the relationships Spanx to people. One of the things I love doing so much is helping parents to be and couples have relationships that they can really be proud of, that are healthy, and especially with their children that they can leverage for a lifetime. I have a private practice in Great Neck, New York. I work with people all over the world, and I love speaking as well. So that's what I will share about myself today. David, do you want to take it?
Do you want to throw in a fun fact? Because we're going to ask everybody else for a fun fact, or you can throw yours in after I'm done, but go for it.
Yeah. Fun fact. I don't know if I'm stealing yours, but yesterday was the first time in so many years and that I've created a snowman. And David took that on as a leader. I saw him outside the window and I said, "Oh my God, you're doing that without me." And so I very quickly went outside and it was huge. There it is.
Oh. we were not messing around, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was really, really fun. So that's my fun fact. And I've never made a snowman that big. So that to me was like, and there was a woman that lives right next door who was just so like happy, right? She was an older woman and she was just staring at us do it. And she says, "I don't know why, but this just makes me so happy." And it does. It was incredibly joyful. So that's my fun fact.
And just be careful because you might throw out your back if you don't do it from the right leverage of your knees and your back. I think there's some soreness today. With that, I'll say hi to everyone. Some of you I definitely know, and others I'm meeting for the first time. So I'm excited to be here and join forces with Victoria. I am someone in the world who is committed that we all communicate effectively. We show up in our truth and our power and have that shared with the world. On a corporate level, I work with organizations, executives, and teams of executives, mid to high level, on how do they communicate? How do they communicate in their executive presence, in their sales acumen, and their negotiation skills, all the different dynamics that in unblinded terms matter when we want to go from hello to yes in any kind of situation. That's a lot of what we'll focus on today. Other than that, I'm writing a book. Maybe that'll be my fun fact. We shared the snowman story. I'm writing a book called The Morning Rush, and it's all about morning routines and how do we kick off our day powerfully such that our days go better, our weeks go better, and our lives go in a certain direction that we want them to go in. And I'll pause there. Let's go around the horn. We'll allow folks to just introduce who you are in the world, and then a fun fact about yourself, something unique, something that jumps out. It could be as simple as you built a snowman or rolled a snowman yesterday, or you're writing a book, or anything that pops and jumps for you. So Glen, I know you were the first arrival, so maybe we'll give you, for time integrity and all of that, the opportunity to jump in first and share a little bit.
Sure. Thanks, David. Thanks, Victoria, for inviting me. My name is Glen Ingram. I've run a digital marketing agency for years, and one of our unique, I guess, aspects of that is for the last couple of years, we've gone down the rabbit's hole to be one of the leaders in the industry to create websites that work for people with disabilities. There are reasons federally and in state areas where websites have to do this, or business owners need websites to do this to protect them from being sued. But more realistically, between 1 out of 4 and 1 out of 5 people in the US has at least one form of a long-term disability or another. So if the website isn't built properly, we're excluding them. So that's not good, I think, from just making sure that information is available to everyone. And let's be realistic, we make websites to conduct commerce. If 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5 people can't conduct commerce, we're probably not doing what's best by ourselves. So that's our focus, is web accessibility. I speak on it all around. I traveled the country prior to last spring. Now I'm doing a lot of stuff virtually, trying to just educate more people about it. And I guess a fun fact we kind of mentioned earlier is I'm fortunate to be able to spend time and transit back and forth between Huntington Beach, California and Las Vegas, Nevada.
I love it. Thank you so much, Glenn. And before you introduce yourself, I just wanted to share with everyone that you and I met when you and Paul interviewed me. And just in meeting you, learning what you do, I loved it. I think anyone can use it. And you just have so much integrity, and just talking with you, I just trust you. I think it's incredible. And you're also, I keep saying this, you're a veteran, which to me is incredible, because we've also spoken, as much as we've spoken about your business, about how important that is to you and serving the veteran community. So I just think you're incredible. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Go ahead, David. Do you want to introduce someone?
Yeah, we'll just dart back and forth. My guest, Victoria's guest, but we're going to take Huntington Beach, and we're going to go to another West Coast beach. My good friend, my coach, Will Smith, who is coming to us live from Costa Rica, and he may flash the coastline again, much to some folks' chagrin, because it is cold here in New York. But Will is someone who in the world is a incredible force, someone who's a coach, someone who has made a difference in my life over the last 6+ months. And Will, welcome, and share a little bit.
Is it Will Smith or Will Steele?
Will
I'm
Steele.
sorry. I was thinking, Men in Black. Sorry, Will Steele. My bad. Will Steele, not Smith, not to be confused.
That's right. You're not the first person to say that. All right, great. So great. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm actually from the UK. I live in London, although I've been traveling the world for the last at least 15 years. I used to be an airline pilot, and then I led transformational programs around the world to over 90,000 people and transformed their lives. So that's what I've been doing. Currently, what I'm doing is coaching people one-on-one, executives mainly, and business owners, entrepreneurs in their lives and in their businesses, but mostly getting to the bottom of what's getting in the way and blocking them moving forward powerfully with their life. My superpower, if you like, Dave asked me to, say what that would be. I would say it's my listening. People say, what do you coach? What do you like? I'm giving information out. Mostly I'm listening. I'm listening for where somebody's at, what's blocking them, what's stopping them, what's in the way. And then we will have a conversation. It might be going all the way back to when you were 6 years old. It might not be about what you think the current day problem is. So it's unpredictable. You just got to really listen to get to the bottom of things. And that's what I would say my superpower is. I've listened and done work with Buddhist monks, with world champion boxers, with CEOs, students, housewives, right across the spectrum of human beings. And a fun fact about myself is I used to be a Royal Air Force pilot. I was a pilot in the Air Force for 10 years. I flew fighter jets. One of my claims to fame is I flew speed of sound upside down at night across Wales. But we don't talk too much about that because that could get me in trouble.
Oh, wow. Fun, and we got to keep that inside the confines of the real raw scenario, even though we're live on Facebook. But all good. Well done, Will. And welcome. And you're also someone who's going to be an expert at surfing at some point as well. Isn't that true?
I don't know about an expert, but always learning.
Very good. All right, Victoria, over to you.
Awesome. I want to introduce Danielle Williams. Danielle, you and I just met, but I feel like we're really, really fast friends. Danielle, you're everything. You're a lawyer. You're an administrator in a school right down the block.
Yes.
You are an incredible, incredible, incredible mother And
as you see my children photobombing right in the back, and they're going to continue to do that the entire session. It doesn't matter. It is what it is.
Yes. Are you home right now, or are you in
Yes, I'm home.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got it. That's just how it goes. But I want you to introduce yourself. I think you're incredible, and what you're doing is amazing. There they are. I think you're amazing.
As one child comes in, this is the life I lead. So, hi everyone. My name is Danielle Williams. I am currently assistant principal of special education. But my passion is children with disabilities. I have two sons, one that you just saw with disabilities, one on the autism spectrum, one with speech and language impairment. And it wasn't the life that I guess I wanted. It's the life that was given to me. And so what I did was I was a lawyer before I became an educator. And then once I had children and both of my sons had different diagnoses, I decided I need to become an expert in this field. So not only am I an administrator in school and I was a teacher for 15 years, but I work with the state legislature. I work on the federal government doing different grants. And then I started my own business, which is what my passion was. For me, as a special educator, what I find was that my parents were not knowledgeable. They didn't understand the ins and outs of special education. Well, no one really does, because the legislature is really difficult, right? But what I knew is that a lot of parents were coming to me as administrators saying, Miss Williams, what do you think? And I said, oh, no, I have two children. That's just two. I don't have 800, which is what I administrate now. And so it can be very challenging. And what I pride myself with Stigma Consulting Group is the opportunity to just make sure that my parents can navigate school systems, they get knowledge that they want. And our theory at Stigma Consulting is potential, power, possibilities. Always giving children the potential and reaching that potential, giving them power, and just knowing that there's endless possibilities with them. My fun fact is that I love to gourmet cook, and I'm hired part-time to do gourmet cooking events at people's homes, which is, I don't know how I have the time to do it, but I just love to cook a lot. And so that's what I do on my part-time basis. That people hire me to come in on Zoom and teach them a gourmet meal within 2 hours. That's it.
Wow. David, do we know someone that we should probably introduce Danielle to who cooked for us in Colorado? That's incredible. I didn't know that. That's amazing, Danielle. That's awesome.
I love it. I think we need to have a group cooking / Zoom / just mouth saliving all over the place, if that's even a word. But that's awesome. Thank you, Danielle. So we'll hop over. I'm going to go across the seas, another UK, actually not from the UK, but in the UK now, not even in the UK now, in Barbados. We're going to have another jealousy kind of ridden share here. Stuart, I'd love to introduce you. I've gotten to know you over the last many months through what you're doing with 10,000 Black interns, as well as just navigating a number of different conversations and training sessions. So I'll let you share the floor, but love to have you here.
Sure. So thanks for that kind introduction, David and Victoria, for having me here today. Will, I'm just down the road from you, as it were. I feel very grateful and fortunate to where I am. I've been here for 10 weeks, relocated because I was done with lockdowns. I have two jobs. My day job is I'm CEO of Mallowstreet, which is a fintech company community for the UK institutional pension fund industry. Our membership looks after the retirement of 18 million people, so about half the working population in the UK. And our mission is a better retirement for everybody, a better outcome, making sure everybody has their pension paid in full and money breeds choice and what they want to do with that and that they're taken care of. By night, I am one of the founding forces behind 10,000 Black interns. And that started in the city of London. There are 14 Black portfolio managers in 3,000 seats. That is a systemic institutional problem, and it needs to be addressed. And so we are putting in 10,000 interns across 23 sectors in the UK over the next 5 years. We currently have 630 firms offering 2,010 internships for the summer 2022 cohort. So we just went through that milestone this evening, and we're so excited for it. We run a pilot program this summer. It's going to be for the investment management industry. It's 200 firms taking 390 interns, I think, at this point. So David's been coaching me, helping me on the training for that, what we need to do and how we pull the program together. And I'm super excited about that. And we've just hired a program director and are building out the team tomorrow I have 3 interviews on program managers they've asked me to do. But it's really making it a sustainable project, and then how do we roll this out across the world? And this is the lack of representation of Black individuals is just one of the many kinks in the hose pipes across the world that need to be changed. And so that's what we are trying to do. A fun fact about me, I'm a member of the Screen Actors Guild Society for my childhood commercials that I did when I was 6 years old for the Edison and Electric Company in the Northeast. So if you're nice, I'll share those videos with you of a 6-year-old Stuart. But that's me. I'm American. I've been in London since 2006. And yeah, there we have it.
I love it, Stuart. If we hit a lull in the broadcast, I might actually encourage you to share screen and throw a video on. That would be a fun interlude.
I'll have to dig it out. You got it.
All right. Thank you so much, Stuart. It's actually nice to meet you face to face. I've heard so much about you. And the next person I'd like to introduce is Christopher Farka. Chris, so nice to have you. I'm glad that you were able to join pretty much on time, almost. But Chris and I met, and I just think you're great. I think you're an awesome coach, and your approach is really unique. And I can't wait for you to share with everybody what you're up to, because I think that there's a lot of synergy with what you do in the world.
Thanks, Victoria. And yeah, I was actually very surprised that I was able to make it on time, and I'm very happy for that. Guys, what's up? My name is Christopher Farka. I am a life and executive coach based out of Staten Island, New York at the moment. And basically, my mission is to help people that feel lost personally and professionally, invest in themselves, feel safe in finding greater results for their lives. All right. A fun little fact about me is, oh gosh, I will be in a movie called No Other Human later this year on Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. So
I did not know that. We spoke so many times in the last couple of weeks.
I honestly just remembered that it's actually happening. So, I guess I should share, prior to becoming a coach, I was a TV and film actor for about 6 years. Prior to that, I was in psychology. I've always been interested in psychology, kind of what makes people tick, what stops them from achieving and living the day-to-day lives that they would like to be living their one time here on this planet. It was something that stood out to me personally, that was very meaningful and caused me to leave the entertainment industry after booking the lead for a pilot, which would be a big deal for a TV and film actor. And this just was so much more purposeful to me that I just had to pivot, make the transition. And here I am today doing what I'm doing. So thank you for having me, Victoria. I really appreciate it. And it's great to meet all you guys.
Thank you so much.
Good. I feel like I need to lead in, Christopher. Can you just tell us a little bit about the Netflix movie and what that's going to look like, or what it is?
Yeah, so it was a supporting role. It was 3 years ago and it just got picked up. It's a female lead named Yasha, who was fantastic. And she basically is, because she's a woman, she's kind of looked down upon in the police force by all these jerks. And she gets a hold of this really big case that's going on with this guy that's kidnapping prostitutes. And I won't say the rest because it'll ruin the movie, but and she gets her big chance to kind of like hunt this guy down and do him justice. And that's kind of the premise of the movie. I won't tell you if she catches him or not. Maybe she dies. I don't know. I was there for a couple of days. So thank you.
A little cliffhanger. I like it. What's the name of it? Just so in case anybody just was riveted by that.
Yeah, it's called No Other Human.
No Other Human. All right. Perfect. With that, I think we've done participant intros. Let's go to some of our judges now. And I'll go to Mr. Matt Johnston, someone who, as you mentioned earlier, we were in a leadership program together. Matt has been my coach, my friend, my mentor in a number of different ways, and is up to a lot of big things in the world. So, Matt, I'll allow you to jump in and share a little bit about what you have going on.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for being here. I'm so delighted to meet the participants. I am in the Hudson Valley, and I'm here working on a startup ecosystem that's here. That's my professional work. And my purpose is really to co-create the future of work. And I've gotten to work on innovation programs around the world. I worked with the Obama administration on manufacturing innovation, with more than $1 billion worth of public-private partnerships. And what I want to say about that is that innovation is a phenomenon, and it's a communication phenomenon. How do we create the conditions where people come together and go from nothing to something? And I've gotten to do that work in the Tony Robbins ecosystem. I co-designed the innovation curriculum for Tony Robbins Business Mastery, and I've led that work on stage at Business Mastery a couple times. And I love working with startups, especially at this point in my life, underestimated founders. I've got some promises to Sean Callaghy and to Tony Robbins about what it's going to take to give rise to 1,000 women co-founded startups, Black, Indigenous, and other peoples of color as founders, LGBTQ founders. Arlen Hamilton calls those underestimated founders, and I love that phrase. So that's my passion today, is supporting underestimated founders. And fun fact, I believe Sean Callaghy would say that the Real Raw itself emerged out of an innovation session that I held. That I think of that innovation work as human empowerment technology. And so I'm actually pretty close to the Innovation Center here in the Hudson Valley, where he came and volunteered his time to work with some startups in this community and saw what it looks like when people communicate about what they're building and get to work that out here in space with others. So I'm really excited to be reconnected to it. And thanks for letting me introduce myself.
I love it. So great to have you here, Matt, and looking forward to moving this forward. But incredible background, and we have so much connectivity that it's just been a pleasure to reconnect recently. So we have one more judge, the one, the only Patricia Marseille, who also is a friend of ours through the Unblinded community. We've had so many great moments together, and she's someone who I just see as really powerful in who she is for herself on a corporate level, but also for people in general and leadership and so many other dynamics. Patricia, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you very much for that intro. It's so nice to meet everybody here. I'm sitting here listening to everyone's background. It's pretty spectacular. So you have a really awesome group here. I am Patricia. I am an executive at the Walt Disney Company, and I'm also a conscious leader, ultimately helping leaders stand in the truth of who they are, but to be able to communicate with awareness, intention, and full power, and really just be able to drive that same passion out of every single leader that they lead as well. So in addition to my work at Disney as supply chain trade management director, I also help leaders in developing them through strategy, ultimately leadership strategy on how to become a conscious leader themselves. So that's me.
Amazing. Would you like to share a fun fact? Anything you want to toss out there before we get going?
It wasn't fun enough that she works for Disney?
The land of the mouse, the ultimate mouse.
Magic Kingdom.
But I will share this fun fact. I am actually one of 8 children. So I am number 6 out of the 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to dig into that a little bit, maybe later. That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, can I just say, we have an incredible group of people. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and we just had a new person come to light here. Sean, I see you there. We've got a great group of people who have just shared who they are in the world, and we're about to jump into portion 2 of the afternoon, but wanted to highlight you. We actually have a couple of folks who are on beaches. We have someone who's learning how to surf. So we've got a lot of different dynamics that are at play. I don't know if you just came from the ocean, but there's a good chance that might have happened too.
Possible.
Yes, it is definitely possibly true. And hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I got a couple of dear friends here as well, David, and a fun fact about one of them. So yes, this morning it was barefoot in the ocean. Haven't been in the ocean yet. That will be coming later today. It's about 40 degrees, 42 degrees in the Atlantic Ocean right now. We did walk across ice and snow on the beach this morning, barefoot. That was a new experience because it snowed heavily in New Jersey yesterday. So again, David, thank you. Dr. Victoria, thank you. And a fun fact, may I, David?
Absolutely, please.
Aside from the fact that Dawood, I know, is present and all the extraordinary things he's up to in the world, in addition to just hearing from Patricia, but one of the at least 5 influences in a powerful way for the format of this very show, The Real Raw, which is approaching its 500th episode since COVID began, is here today. And that is the one and only Matt Johnston. And so Matt, I had the unique and incredible privilege of watching Matt and his genius facilitate an innovation session for a company in his genius. And I was in the room, and this event ended in what they called a, quote, pitch off. And that session changed my life in very profound and meaningful ways, and all that it brought forward. So this might sound like interesting, and it could be whatever you want it to be, as Matt might tell you and suggest to you in life. Anything could be what you want it to be. It's all just a story anyway. And so this could be like a cute way of like connecting on a Zoom call, or it could be a profound container for changing the perception of how people experience your heroic, unique identity today, which could cause a series of events that might bring you to a level of impact you never thought possible. So first, Matt Johnston, love you, brother, and thank you so much for being here.
You're so kind, and I'm so moved by you and the way that when I give up the right to know what my impact is and allow things to unfold, it's delightful. So thank you for creating the conditions where all of this gets to happen, and people are growing. People are really being unblinded in a way that's fantastic. So I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks for inviting me.
And Matt, thank you. And I think you'd be present to this reality, but a team led and or co-led by Matt that we engaged actually was the incubator for the title, the name Unblinded. So Matt not only was causally connected in a profound way to one, The Real Raw, and its concept of influence as something that people put at stake, but second, a massive acceleration in my life, and third, literally the work on Unblinded. And many people claim to have been involved in that, Matt, but it was yourself, Steve, you, Steve, and it was an extraordinary process. So thank you again. Yeah, well, you're welcome. And to echo what you said, for the people that are here, part of what has inspired me is that even in looking at indigenous technologies, First Nations technologies, councilship, what are the ways in which people can come together and actually grant themselves the stature to invent in a way that's impactful? And we just don't walk around that way. And so that you have made that promise, that Unblinded really contains that promise, and that you give me a chance to say what I just said and invite people to be here that way is very much appreciated. It's really what makes the difference. So I'm here for nothing to something, however that shows up. Thanks. Well, thank you, Matt. So David, enough of me. I couldn't be more grateful. Dr. Victoria, for you, David, Dawood, again, for coming on. What is Unblinded, why Real Raw, and the impact, the incredible impact you're making in the world. So thank you, and all for being here. David, back to you.
All right. And just point of clarity for you, Sean, Dawood got tied up in a board meeting, but one of his co-founders, Stuart, is actually here as well. So hopefully Dawood will be joining us shortly.
Well, Stuart, thank you. Thank you.
Good. Well, Victoria, I think we're ready to move into part 2. Should we tee that up? Would you like me to do that, or would you like to share what's going to happen next?
Sure. Well, I will just share that moving forward, what we're going to do is, so everyone sees Matt Johnston and Patricia are judges. David and I will serve as role players. And so what that means is everybody will get the opportunity to pick either David or myself to be a role player of anybody you can possibly think of. We do our best. We're very good actors and actresses. And then we're going to go from hello to yes in 3 minutes. Now, we can be anyone you want us to be, and your hello to yes can be any situation, going from hello to yes in a phone call, going from hello to yes to another meeting, going from hello to yes on a date. I don't care, whatever feels meaningful to you. Did I miss anything, David?
I loved how Matt earlier just said going from nothing to something. And that's a lot of the context of what we're doing in these 3 minutes is literally going from that hello, hey, how are you, to figuring out a way in which we can connect with that other person in a dynamic fashion and lead to some kind of outcome, call it ecosystem merger or beyond. But how do we get somewhere? And that yes could simply be, we should talk for another half hour. Let's put that on the calendar. It could be that simple, is what we're playing with in the next little while inside of 3 minutes. And maybe I'll segue. Sean, anything else you want to throw in there? I'm trying to eloquently duplicate the way that you often deliver for us.
Yeah, I'm hearing your brilliance, David, and who you are in the world. I'm hearing Matt's sprinkling of seasoning. I'm feeling Dr. Victoria. I'm feeling Patricia and her claws of leadership and all these incredible people. So I'm just taking it in and smiling. So please.
Fantastic. All right, Dr. Victoria, would you like to choose our first person to jump into the role play?
Sure. Let's go with Will Steele. Let's go with Will. Will, would you like to go first?
Sure.
Not to be confused with Will Smith. It is Will Steele, everyone. The man, the myth, the legend.
All right, great. Good. Well, what are we doing? I'm still not fully clear what we're doing. We're moving from a conversation to a yes. So is that right?
Yeah, and you can choose Victoria and myself to be any kind of profile. It could be a prospective client. It could be somebody you're just trying to have a conversation with to get them to partner with you on something. We can be anyone you want us to be. And then we have a 3-minute dialogue back and forth looking to get to some kind of outcome inside of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I have a potential client that I want to work with. I really love the guy. He's great, right? He's super great. I've known him for many years, and he's running a business, and he's working very, very hard for not very much return.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to work with him because I can see that we can elevate that, have the guy being really successful, earning good money, doing what he's doing, and and not be so stressed out, and working so hard. He likes working. I have no problem with working hard, but I think I can make a real difference with him if we work together. And he's considering it, but money is a problem. Money is tight. He doesn't have a lot of money, but I'm kind of like,
right.
Well, let's work something out.
Fantastic.
You're going
to have to make a difficult choice. Do you want to work with myself or Victoria? And then we're going to jump in, and there's 3 minutes on the clock.
Okay. Well, given I talk to you every week, I think I'd be better if I had a different face, a different person.
I think
I've got to get in my brain, the client is a male, right? African, he's not African American. That's the wrong expression. He's originally from Jamaica, in London. He's been brought up in London for most of his life. So let's say 2/3 of his life. He is super great. I love him to bits. But just to give you a background, I'd say I've got a visual, right? It's a woman who's white, so it's different.
Perfect. Well, Victoria, are you set in that and ready to rock?
Yeah, I am. I'm ready.
Right.
Away we go. The floor is yours, Will, and we'll put 3 minutes on the clock.
All right, good. So, Charles, that's your name, right? So, Charles, so let's have a conversation to, see how I can support you, empower you, and start coaching you in developing your business and elevating everything you're up to. So you had a chance to go away and think about it, talk about it with your wife. So just want to get where you're at with it right now.
Thanks so much, Will, for checking in. Listen, I can't. I really want to. We've spoken, and there's just so much going on for me, and I think that you could really be of help, but I can't see how we can make that work right now. Just financially, it's just, it's just not working.
Okay, I get that. I do get that, by the way, and I appreciate you saying being straight up with that up front. So I know that if I was working with you, we could move things through from where you are now to being able to afford that easily, and really doubling your income this year.
Double.
I know, yeah, doubling it from where you're at. I was surprised how little you were earning yourself when you see the size of your business. You've got 8 guys that you're providing income for. They're all working for you. You're great with them. You've got vehicles for everybody in this business you've set up. What would it take to double, triple, quadruple that business other than just working twice as hard, 3 times as hard, 4 times as hard? So if you could be running that business and it's not stressful and you're not working, frazzling yourself out. See, I can work with you so you and I can look together what's in the way of you being able to trust others to take work away from you, be able to give it away without not diminishing the level of service you're giving to people, which I know is important to you.
Well, let me ask, what's going to happen if, I built this myself. So you're talking about delegation and, I don't have any doubts you can help with my mindset. I'm scared because if I sign on, where am I going to pull this money from?
Well, we've talked about how much it is, right? All you need to be able to do is be able to start the first couple of months, and then we'll be working together. That'll be part of what there is to work on.
Mm-hmm.
How much you're charging, how much you're taking away for you, how much you're reinvesting in the business, working. See, one of the things, Charles, that doesn't work, and I'm telling you straight, is you're working as one of your drivers. You got to stop that and be working on the business and getting more business versus working in the business. I mean, it's one of the things when I work with entrepreneurs and small business owners that is often the case. They're hands-on, but their time is way more valuable, or would be more valuable, spent on working on the business, getting new business in. But you don't do it because you're working so much.
Got it. Well, I think our time is up. I got to go, but maybe we can have a conversation again soon.
All right. Well, let's speak next week.
Sounds good. Well, how did that feel? 3 minutes goes by fast, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. How did it feel? It felt a little kind of I don't know what the word is. Obviously aware of being watched by everybody and like, what do I come up with? What do I say here? But at the same time, trying to think of and be in Charles's world, right? And also, when he says he hasn't got the money, I know he's not just making that up. We've got to work something out, which we didn't get into. It's kind of talking a little bit around the edges versus getting into, well, let's see how we can make this work. Let's talk about the money, So how it felt for me was a little bit, I don't know, uncomfortable, I guess. I mean, that's all I can mean. That's the only way I can say it.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think what I noticed just from you saying that is that I'm uncomfortable in talking about the money. So I'm also uncomfortable about in some shape or form. Like just getting right into, well, what have you got and how much of what you've got and let's work this out.
That's really good insight. I'd love to hear what Matt and Patricia have to say. Matt, you want to go?
Yeah, happy to. So, Will, thanks for jumping in and being on the hot seat with it. I would say, firstly, you're an extraordinary human being. Like I know who you are in the world and what you committed yourself to over a long period of time. I would say to you that something in your context is a little wonky around who he is for you And I know sometimes in these real raw role plays, it is very much a sort of mock environment. But something like it was an absence of an authentic connection to Victoria here as she is. And so nothing wrong with that. Like certainly nothing wrong with the way you stepped in, but my sense is that there might be something there too, like really kind of in the background. As a sort of practical bit of feedback, it seems like there's a like irresistible offer that you were aiming toward, and I'm inspired by it. I think there was something you wanted to say about like how to get started in a way that was irresistible. And if you're going to be away in the world, you know, being irresistible is a gorgeous way to be. So there's something that might actually want to get organized in more of a marketing sense than a communication sense. But I just wanted to give you that that was hot. Like, I think there was something there. There's a there, so to speak. So, all right. Yeah, I'll leave that right there. Thanks.
Fantastic. I didn't mean to cut you off, Matt. I just want to make sure we're going to keep the responses moving forward just into a short window of time. But that was perfect, and thank you for that, Matt. Let's go to Patricia. Patricia, how did that? Yeah, Victoria.
Want to do the scores?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry, Matt. I don't know if we gave you the context, but 0 to 10, we're just giving a score inside of that ballpark. Where'd you land out?
I'm giving a 7.5.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Matt. Patricia.
Hello. Well, I love the energy that you stepped into the space with, because I could definitely hear that there was the admiration there. So I appreciated that. And I appreciated the fact that you actually walked in with certainty when you originally started the conversation, that your voice was solid. The tone was there. You understood what it was that you were going after in this conversation. I would say because you have a relationship, don't be afraid to add some fun and some heart into this space, right?
Yeah.
Like you have a relationship with him. So it's not like, this is a stranger. This is someone you care for. And I would say that with the care is that you kept going into working hours, and Victoria made no comments about working hours, but you kept defaulting back to working hours. And although she kept stating that it was finances, you would default back to working hours. So I would say just hone into what you're actually listening to, and switch the thought or the communication from trying to listen into keywords to actually listening with understanding at the core. And if you listen with just understanding at the core, then you would be able to just dive into, okay, finances is the issue. So let's actually talk about how we can do like a payment plan or work through maybe a bartering system, something that would work for you until you get to a place where you could truly afford it. So that's my feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And
Right.
score, Patricia?
I gave him a 7.5 as well. That's why I was looking at that like.
Hey, David, I did not leave. I was like beamed out by Scotty somehow into the vortex of another Real Raw. So all of a sudden I was like, wait, this is like, where did Matt go? So I just want to, can I share 20 seconds of feedback for Will and say a quick thank you?
Yeah, 100%. And Dawood's here now, so.
Oh, Dawood. Hello, Sean Calgie here again. I was giving you acknowledgement as well as Stuart for all the incredible things you guys are doing in the world. I hope you're doing well today.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I got stuck on a board call, and there's a big issue we're dealing with here in London. I couldn't get out of it. I was like dying, but I'm so sorry. So I'm here, and I have no real idea what the next half an hour is. I'm literally like a real raw version, as it were, but I'm like, I'm also learning.
Awesome. And Will, quick thought is, and I unfortunately missed the back half of Matt's feedback and the front half of Patricia. So if I'm overlapping, forgive me. I think having a framework integriously for how we reveal truth and communicate is just indispensable. And as Matt shared, you're up to extraordinary things and committed to transformation and acceleration in the world. One, so having that framework and containers, there is no thought. Like you're just present to the idea of when somebody shares there's a monetary challenge or authentically, empathetically, integrously moving through on the one hand. On the other hand, as I think they both alluded to, there's only two fears if we put containers around the bucket of fear: fear of rejection, fear of failure, and neither exists. And the reframing of those fears, including the context of money and how we relate to it, equals the ultimate ability to cause impact. So you're extraordinary. Thank you so much for your courage and vulnerability. And anchoring on those concepts would be deeply meaningful for all of us. Challenging, but we're able to get there. So thank you all. And back to you, David and Dr. Victoria. And I'm going to be beaming to other vortexes, but I am immensely grateful and great job, David.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean, and good luck in the vortexes. And we'll talk to you all soon.
All right. Thank you.
You want to call on a new person? Our next runner-up?
Sure. I don't know if we want to throw, well, do you want to choose one of your guests or should we go? Otherwise, Stuart's next up in the line. I also want to acknowledge if anybody has to leave at a certain time frame. Patricia, yeah.
I was just going to say, do you want to give Dawood a chance to introduce himself and let everyone else get to know him a little bit before we dive into the next person?
What a great suggestion. All right, everyone. So Dawood is somebody Stuart teased it up earlier. I met a while back now, but I've been fortunate enough to be connected and work inside of what he is putting together inside of 10,000 Black interns and beyond. And Dawood, you're just someone who I also see as a mentor, an inspiration, and up to so many big things in the world. So the stage is yours to share a quick little intro.
Thank you, man. Well, look, I tell you, talking about inspiration, dude, I talk about you all the time. Like last night, we had a whole David Rush kind of conversation around getting up at 4 a.m, coming back, and then taking a freezing cold shower. And I'm like, if you do that, apparently your day is like easy in comparison. They said, who said that? I said, David Rush said that. It must be true. So,
just wait for the book. It's coming out.
So thank you. So I'm here in London. I work with, I set up a couple of companies, and Stu, who I see in the mix here, is chief executive of one of them, and does an incredible job. I started life as a lawyer, and then I spent some time working as an investment banker, and now I guess, and then I morphed into setting up a couple of companies, and now I'm an entrepreneur, I suppose, which is always, what does that even mean? But I've got my finger in so many different pies, and I'm really having a big conversation about race right now, which wasn't really the way I would have chosen it, but it is what it is, and a lot of people are talking to me about race and about how you navigate it. And I know it's different in the UK than it is in the US, but it's still a thing. And so we are embarking on this initiative called 10,000 Black Interns, and Templar have been incredible. We've had David on there, we've had Victoria, we've had Patricia. Trying to see who else I've missed out that we've had, but we've had a bunch of amazing, real raw and unblinded people on there, and it's been game changing. We've had people just in tears, people just so grateful for all that has been on offer. And so, anytime David and Victoria say, do you want to come on our thing? I'm like, yep, I'm there. Even if I'm late, but so yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Amazing. So great to have you here, Dawood, and glad you could make it. I know challenges in scheduling and other board meetings come up, but we're here now. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
All right, Victoria, you want to choose our next contestant on The Price is Right? Well, I don't know if that's the right reference, but on the Real Raw.
Let's go with Glen. Glen, are you ready?
Well, you know what, as ready as I'm going to be. So I would say, since I wasn't aware of this, let's make it easy and comfortable for me, but we'll shake it up a little bit. David, why don't you pretend you're Victoria, since I know a little bit about Victoria, and I'll pretend that I'm pitching Victoria to you. That'll shake it up a bit.
Oh, this is fun. I don't know Victoria that well. Can you tell me about her?
You know what? I was very fortunate that Victoria came on a show that we do about presentations, public speaking, sales, and branding. And Victoria was so, I think, real, authentic, and sincere that's why I would like to visit with her a little bit more.
Fantastic. All right. I'll tee up the timer and away we go.
All right. Well, again, Victoria, I really want to thank you for coming on our show a few weeks ago. It was great to get to know you. We appreciate what you were willing to share with our viewers and our listeners. I wanted to kind of follow up on the initial conversation we had to visit with you a little bit about your website. With what you shared about relationships, working with children, working with families and stuff like that, I really think that your message needs to be out there and in front of as many people as possible to give them the opportunity to get to know you better. As I mentioned right now, your website doesn't work well for somewhere between 1 out of 4 to 1 out of 5 people. And, just because someone has MS or MD and can't use a mouse, or maybe they can't see and so they use a screen reader, I really think they should have access to your content and your information. So I'd like to just set up a time later this week, first part of next week, where we could sit down and really dive into making sure that you have a platform that's accessible to everyone so that everyone has the ability to work with you and, understand and I guess have the rewards and the benefits of working with you.
Wow. I mean, Glenn, first of all, thank you for having me on the show a while back. That was just an incredible experience. And I guess inside of what you just shared, that statistic, 4 out of 5 are not engaging well with my website. That's kind of shocking to me. How does that, tell me more about that maybe.
Sure. Well, it's part of kind of all falls under the realm of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So basically, but when you look at people that are blind, people that are colorblind, people that are deaf, people that have issues and severities just with seeing or hearing, people that have motor skill issues, maybe they have multiple dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy, their hand won't allow them to use a mouse. So for those type of people, the website has to be programmed in a way that you can navigate it with just the tab key and the enter key.
You just muted. All right. Oh, again. Glenn, you're muted again. I don't know what's happening with the...
I'm sorry. We also have people with cognitive issues. So sometimes people that have dyslexia, dyscalculia will still use these screen readers because it's easier for them to hear content than it is to interpret it reading it. So we want to make sure that no matter, regardless of someone's ability or disability, we want to make sure they have access to the same information.
Yeah, I definitely want to impact those audiences and not lose traction there. So what do you suggest for me? Do you have specific things I need to do, or how does this work?
Yeah, that's why I just want to have an appointment where we can really dive into it deeper. There are a lot of different ways to go about it. The simplest way is just building it again from scratch and coding it properly. That way it's less expensive for you. There's a couple of two good points about this. First and foremost, with the changes, Google has announced that they're going to change their algorithms this summer. It'll actually work better with Google and help your visibility or not hinder your visibility. Secondly, when they started this back in 1990 or in the early 90s, the law went into effect in 1990. If you have less than 30 full-time employees, Uncle Sam actually pays for half of this for you. So we can get you a little bit of a tax credit to take care of it. It works better for everybody, and it's really the right thing to do. So I just wanted to see if we could set up a time to really dive into this deeper.
All right, Glenn, I got to jump. We're at 3 minutes, but well done. How was that for you?
I've been selling since birth, so I'm okay.
All right. Very good. Well, let's take it to the judges. We went Matt first last time. We'll reverse the order. Patricia, what say you? How was that interaction for you?
It was good. I loved your certainty, Glenn. You definitely are very clear as to what it is that you have to offer and what you're engaged in. So I love the way in which you stepped into that space so clearly. I would say that the key thing that you stated in going into this conversation was to get to know Victoria. So the problem was, or the disconnect was, a lack of rapport that was built in really trying to find out who she is, what drives her, like what are her interests, where exactly is her heart, so that you could know exactly where and how to service her or to provide any type of services. So I would say that, and don't be afraid to actually switch your energy from that certainty sales mode to an actual heart-centered connection of who are you and how do I get to know you in a way that I know that I can directly serve you. So
fantastic. Thank you, Patricia. Score?
Yes, my score is an actual 8.
All right. An actual 8 as opposed to a non-actual 8.
7.9.
Very nice. Well, Matt, you're up.
I scored an actual 8.2, so it's nice to be on a common wavelength. And I thought Patricia said some excellent things, Glenn. And I think there's something, you create a space of authority. I would say if there's a risk you're taking, it's that you have forgotten more than I'll ever know about this realm. And there's some evangelizing that's forward in your speaking. And it may be messing with the space a little bit. It may leave people with the sense that they're not enough, that they don't know enough, that they're not doing enough. Where you led from, I think, has real potential. That you said, hey, 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5, you're not communicating. There's something powerful right there. And if I could make a suggestion, it may be that there's some consent, so to speak, like, I'd like to have a conversation about what matters to you. Are you up for that? I think there's a difference that we could make here. I think there are people that you're not reaching, you want to. Can we have a conversation? There's something early in the space that, given how much you know, would really establish a foundation of safety in a way that would create the conditions for some of that heart-centeredness that I think Patricia was describing. And I think there is an orientation about the benefit. Like, what is it that would provide? Again, building from that 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, like, what would that make possible? What kind of difference would that be? There's something about that in Victoria's world that is the reason she's going to take the meeting. So, and I really acknowledge the sense of care that you bring to your work, and like where you're coming from. You give a lot of value away, frankly. You're like spilling it all over the lobby, I think. And so there may be a different approach that would have it move in a way that works.
I love it. Thank you, Matt. That was very rich and colorful and quality feedback there. Glenn, how was that for you? Good?
Oh, it was great. Thank you very much. And just so you guys knew, again, Victoria and I, she was on our show or whatever, and so we had a little bit of time to talk about it. So I was able to get a little bit of these things in there. And she had actually said, hey, can you give me a call? So that's why I didn't ask some of the questions for the relation, because we got that on the call. But I appreciate that from both of you.
Very good. Understood. All right, let's move forward. Stuart, I know you have to hop in a couple of minutes, so I'll throw you in next into the mix. You get to have a powerful choice whether you want to speak with Victoria or myself, and then we'll set the stage with who you want us to be.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I'll speak to Victoria. And where are you moving around on me? Victoria. So the scene I would like to portray is a conversation that I had about 80 times the last quarter. It's talking to my clients who are very senior in the investment management industry, and convincing them to take one Black intern for 6 weeks on a paid internship for the local living wage. That's a commitment I'm asking for. And what I'm trying to do in this role play, I guess, Victoria, is tease out the objections that the client has and leveraging that trust to help them implement it in their firm. I don't know if that makes any sense. But.
Made so much sense. I just have one point of clarity for myself. Because I'm not a high-level executive that would have such objections, what are some of the objections that they have? Just so I can make sure to throw those at you.
The objections are, we're already doing this in our space. We have our own program. We have our own diversity targets. There isn't a problem, which I find very interesting. This isn't my decision. You'll have to speak to HR. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Got it. I'm with you. Yeah. Okay.
All right, go for it.
So Victoria, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about 10,100 Black interns. You know, as you know, it's a real systemic problem in the city. Then out of 14 seats, out of 3,000 seats, only 14 Black individuals who are in portfolio management roles. And it's a really systemic institutional problem. And I'd love to get asset management firm ABC that you represent, on board. I think it'd be you're such a massive name in the market and we've worked together for years. And I just think it'd be such a transformational opportunity to give somebody a seat at the table in your organization. And yeah, that's my ask really. It's a simple one, to take one intern for 6 weeks, pay them the local living wage, all as a minimum. We'll run all the support centrally for you. And I just wanted to know, if that works or what the objections were, and just really, really trying to understand that.
Stuart, so good to talk with you. We have worked together for quite some time. I understand that, it's an issue. I just don't know, I'm thinking about it, what kind of hoops I would have to jump through to get this done. I don't really know if that's something that we're really experiencing here in this company.
Sure. No, I understand that. I mean, the hoops can, there are hoops, but in many ways we look at it as one foot in front of the other. And from, we've looked at the legislation, and it's the Equalities Act of 2010 in the UK, Section 85, paragraph 17, which really identifies this is how we want to take things forward. And any hoops or any logistics that you might encounter the firm, I'm more than happy to walk you through them, do it together, or provide you with as much support that you can just take what I'm giving you and take that forward.
So what would that look like, Stuart? Because I'm incredibly, there's just so much going on. I just don't know who I would have to talk to get this moving.
Sure. No, absolutely. I mean, actually, I think, Victoria, you could really, take and own it as your decision to take to your exco and deliver it. Probably a short conversation with HR. It's one we could probably do together, and I could answer any questions. But really, I'm asking you to be the ambassador for this and own that in your organization going forward. And we will help with all of the fine points.
Yeah. Stuart, I'm having some trouble understanding how I would even have those conversations to begin with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And sometimes they're difficult conversations to have, but I find if you approach them with humility and integrity and you come to them in a really grounded place, the doors unlock and the doors open. So it's something we can work on, as and when you have time.
Okay, I think time is up. Stuart, thank you. How was that for you?
It was good. I think I landed some of the points I wanted to land at the end when I should have landed them at the beginning. I think your objections, you're a hard role player on the objections, but it's important, and it makes me, when you kept objecting, I tried to go to a place of how can I help and how can I remove barriers and how can I make it easier and how can I simplify, and just kept trying to strip it down. I don't think I succeeded, but how can I continue to make it easier?
If I may, in the beginning, I thought, I don't know what that would be like to be this role player, but the truth is I'm in your seat all the time trying to convince corporate that they need wellness programs. So it's like, there's an issue. Hello. So I get it. And that's what I was trying to do for you, was just be that objection, because that's what I kind of get. Okay. Should we go over to the judges? Matt.
I experienced you leading from there's something wrong. And that has a different quality than what I think became apparent toward the end. There's something possible in becoming an ambassador. And I don't know that you've fully explored how to speak to that. It's so tempting to be that there's something wrong, but it affects the space. The other comment I would make is that there's the objections, that's the friction to support the transformation. That's not something to be fixed when it presents itself. And if you gave it some room, like got curious about it in some way, there's something underneath it that is wanting to be just there. And when your response is to fix it, it has an effect that is at odds with what you're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think your work is beautiful. And so I'm grateful that you shared what you did. I'd give you a 7, room for improvement.
It's fair.
All right, very good. Thank you, Matt. Patricia.
Hi. So I loved the clarity on the offer. The fact that you were super clear about what that is. I actually really appreciated that you stepped into the space from a heart-centered place. That energy was very present, which is what allowed Victoria to immediately be there with you. She immediately shared like her struggle, right? Like it was like, you're here, so I'm going to be here too. So I really appreciated that. What I would say is, are your openings are the fact that that she did share the struggle gave you a wide door to really just ask what's going on, right? Like to really just check in with her and build some rapport, which would then give her an opening to feeling more connected to you, which would probably allow her to entertain the conversation longer. The other thing is that she identified that there was difficulty in taking it to other places. And instead of asking her what that difficulty was, you went into an assumption and then drove the assumption as a part of the conversation. So it's good to just allow more questions, like Matt was highlighting, to keep the thought of being playfully curious, right? Because then when you add that energy, when you're going from heart and then you add a little fun energy to it, it also lightens up the space so that even if the person is thinking of this as a challenge, you've now put a little element of fun into the conversation where now they're starting to think about it a little differently and wanting to be a little more creative about solving it, and solving it with you. So I would say, yeah, those are the things that I ended up seeing. But I love the fact that you just kept coming back and really just kept trying to find other avenues. I would just say it's the same as what was stated to Will, is to open the listening so that in the conversation you're going for understanding versus looking for what is it that you could say next? Like, what are the words that are being said? And really just tune into just the understanding side. So I gave you a 7.5 as well.
Cool. Dowd, do you want to feed in on that? I mean, you're my chairman, and
it was great. I mean, when I tuned into this, I was like, so what am I gonna? What's my one gonna be? And it was gonna be exactly what you just did. So I now got to think of something else. But no, it was good. And look, the reality is, you're awesome at doing this stuff. I know that because you do it. Is what you do, right? And you get people to sign up and all the time. So yeah, I always think you're authentic. I think you land all your points, and the proof of it is that you get a ton of people to. I mean, you've been at the beating heart of getting this thing off the ground. So this is literally what you do. And I think it's intimidating doing it in this environment. I think usually you're a bit more animated. I think, yeah. And you got me sitting here watching you doing it.
I think the other thing to note, Stuart, is that with even all of this and this atmosphere and the feedback that you're getting, it's all about paying attention to those little distinctions within yourself and how you approach a certain thought or a certain engagement, and being able to actually recognize those little distinctions as a result of this experience that will cause you to accelerate in your ability to influence someone because of just that minute little area that you're now able to trigger a change in because of this conversation. So that's really just the point of this, those little distinctions that make a difference.
No, and I take all of it on board, and I've also been up since about 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I'm literally shattered, which is no excuse.
We're taking advantage of your vulnerability right now. Yeah.
So I'm coming at this really humbly. Like I think I had 23 calls today. And so I'm completely broken on like one honest level. So I was trying to come at this with like,
yeah. I just want to move us forward, but I want to take a moment just to share two quick things. One of the distinctions we think about, and I heard this is an old proverb, 2 ears, 1 mouth. If we were to look at all three of these conversations we've had thus far, the person who is actually trying to get the yes has been speaking the majority of the time. So I just want to give you a little timeline of how a conversation could look. And part of the formula of Unblinded is it might look like, hey, how are you? And then having a bunch of exploratory questions, like checking in where they're at, checking out like what's going on in their world, building that emotional rapport, and then finding out what their pain points are currently. What are they dealing with in this moment? What are they dealing with in achieving their objectives? They've been talking this whole time. We've just been listening, asking some questions. Then at some point it's, hey, could I share with you a little bit about who I am and how I may be able to support you? That's like what we call step 3, which is heroic unique identity. I am so-and-so, I'm creating this in the world, and I just wanted to share that with you. And now we're at step 4, which is, I think we could work together. I think we could find a way to come together to support each other in what we're both up to in this world, and that might be the formation agreement. So it's emotional rapport up front, asking some questions to uncover the pain or the challenge, sharing who we are, and then how can we partner together to create an outcome. So I just want to give that for context for everyone, because I think that's useful in my mind when we're thinking about how a conversation could look structurally.
And David,
if I may reply that, this is, we're selling the presentation. So selling a presentation in 3 minutes, that's in the presentation when you're actually doing a sale, when you're doing all those things, when you have 30 minutes to an hour. In 3 minutes, you can't get through all that.
I would challenge you on that.
Okay.
But we won't get into it now, but I'm happy to actually do a little role play in just a little bit. But I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to participate before we have to hit our timeline here.
I would love to move on to Danielle.
All right.
Danielle, would you like to go next?
Sure, absolutely. I know Victoria's so excited. And my children are now downstairs in the basement. Yay! So let's see how this 3 minutes goes. So I'm going to ask David to be my person for the main reason of what I do with children with disabilities. I always deal with mothers, and I hardly ever deal with fathers. And it's something that bothers me. So even if I completely tank this, I don't care, because I want the challenge of how to connect with fathers on this. So what this is going to be is, David, that you've already reached out to me and said you want to talk to me about kind of what I do. And you're thinking about hiring me to be your advocate for your child. And what is that cost in there? And what am I going to give you in reference to that? So this is just our initial 3-minute talk on maybe how I can get you to want to be part of the Stigma Corporation.
Sounds great.
And I would like you to be the person that I usually deal with, which is, I think my kid is just fine. My wife is making me doing this kind of thing, because that's what I deal with a lot, is my kid's just fine. They'll just grow out of it instead of actually starting to really have a really deep talk about the benefits of what I can maybe offer you. Is that okay?
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much.
We're on the clock. Go for it.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for reaching out to me via the website. I really appreciate it. What did you think the website looked like? How did you like it? Or did you not like it? Tell me what you thought.
I can't say I gave it a ton of attention. My wife said we should be doing this. And so that's kind of where, what she says, I usually listen to, and that's what we go with.
You're a good husband. Excellent. Very good job. So tell me about your child. Tell me a little bit about the disability of your child, or tell me what's happening or what you see. Just give me kind of 10 seconds on that, or what's going on.
We're having a real tough time knowing how to be really resourceful with John. And it's challenging that we don't necessarily, we know there are probably ways that we can show up better. And we're really frustrated that we're not having impacts that we wish we could and do it easily,
Let me ask just a couple of questions. Is John struggling academically or social emotionally in school or at home?
I'm going to say it's both. I mean, certainly it's hard to have some of the academic conversations, but I think the bigger pain point is really the social side of things for us interacting with him. But I know he's having his own struggles socially at school as well.
Right. So first, I heard you say something that I don't want you to really ever say again. Don't blame yourself. You're doing the best you can for your child. I know for me, I'm a parent of 2 boys with disabilities, one who is on the autism spectrum, one who has a speech and language impairment. One's age 12, one's age 9. When I started this, I didn't know what I was doing. And yes, I consider myself an intelligent person. I have a number of degrees, but I didn't understand anything about special education. So you're a parent and you're doing the best thing you can by coming to me. So one of the things I want to tell you is there are 2 parts to this. There's the academic piece, right? And then there's the social emotional piece. There's the academic piece on you want grades to be incredible or what John can do. But then there's the social emotional piece. How is he able to deal with frustration or disappointment or failure like we all do as adults? And so one of the things I can do with Stigma Consulting is what I'd like to do for you is I'd really like to read the IEP. The document to me does not necessarily tell me about your son. Let me say that. But it gives me an insight of what other people are perceiving about your son, because that document is critical. And one of the things I want to do is analyze it and read it. And then I want to tell you to go back. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell them to change it. Because one of the things we need to do when we have those legal documents is we need to project the greatness of your son. Okay?
Yeah, well, Danielle, I'm loving this conversation. Clearly, there's a lot I don't know. I do have to jump now, though. But
yes, no problem.
We should
and
continue
let's
this
just set up a time where we could just talk again. Okay?
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Danielle, how was that for you?
Oh, it was better. I have a lot of parents who, when they couple, it's the mother like me, going crazy. And it's always the mom. I'm that mom. I'm the mama bear. I'm always in there. I'm doing everything. But I learned through my husband, his advocacy, right? And I learned how important from my husband, who had to teach me the greatness of his relationship with his sons, because I'm never going to be a father to my sons, ever. I'm only going to be the mom. So I don't know his perspective. I do not know what it feels like. And so I had to learn how to respect that. So when I'm talking to a lot of the mothers that I speak to, I try to ask, and I thank them, where's your husband, or where's your child's father? I do that for a reason, to bring them in the conversation if there is someone there. And so what I get from a father is usually they'll be just fine. And I'm always trying to figure out, if I share something about myself, don't blame yourself. Let's get this together and really break it down with the academic piece and the social piece, because those can be 2 different things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful message, and certainly a challenging conversation to have and pull out from people. All right, well, let's go to the judges real quick. And just for time integrity for everyone, I know we have a hard stop 3:45. We'll probably be going beyond that because we have 2 other people. So if you absolutely have to go, 100% understand. If you can stay, great. Judges, I'm going to also just put a little frame for you if you can do it in 30 to 60 seconds in feedback, and we'll move along. Patricia, you're up.
Glenn, just want to tell you thank you for what you do. I'm just saying that. I have to say that.
And if I may interject real quick, are you on Clubhouse yet?
I'm not. I'm working on it. I'm slow. I'll let them go. When
you get to reach out, I was invited to a group called 15%, and they're worldwide, all about disabilities. You'll love what they do. Okay.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
Perfect.
Thank you, Patricia.
Perfect segue too. We're gonna have an invite for you on something we're doing on Clubhouse this weekend, which is somewhat in the same world, but this is awesome. Patricia, go for it.
And yeah, I thought you were awesome. You built initial rapport. You definitely joined in or gained insight from him, which I loved, where you spoke about, give me some feedback about the website. That totally opened him up. I love the heart-centeredness, your certainty in the conversation. You were very clear on the offer. I love the fact that you identified what his pain was and what the challenge was, and then you dug a little deeper to gain clarification on what that challenge was. I love the fact that you were able to drive in the 2 parts of the academic versus the social, and even gaining the clarity on the pain. I love the fact that you inserted your heroic, unique identity in there, and really coming into, hey, I'm a parent too, and here's my background. You really did like a full on connected conversation. And I would say where you stepped into the clarity and you were able to bring in the social aspect and the academia aspect to it is that you didn't gain verification from him. Right. So it's kind of like clarify and verify, right? As to like, here's what we know. Yes. Right. Like, is this true for you? Right. And getting his voice in that allows the partnership to then move forward in the conversation to quickly gain agreement at that point. Right. So that's my feedback. I thought it was great. I gave you a 9.
Boom. All right. High score so far. Well done, Patricia. Matt, you are up.
I gave you 9 too, and I acknowledge you for the quality of the space you created early in that conversation. It's distinct. You have a real skill, and you care, and it communicates. It's powerful. If you're looking for an access where the space turned, maybe for men, when you delivered, I don't want you to say that ever again, it altered the safety of the space in a way. And I think in a way that might land differently for the women you speak to than the men. And I don't know that they would show it. So I'm speaking it to you. There's a sense you have of what they're dealing with, but you may want to get creative on how you address it. I don't know that the way you're going at it is yet available to them to receive. So I appreciate that you heard it, and there may be some opportunity to grow right there. I know that mattered to you, that you find some access. So that's my communication.
Thank you so much.
That was great, Matt, because you're right. That one did hit me a little funny too. That was good.
I do have a question, Matt, as a follow-up for Danielle. Do you have any suggestions how to more creatively hit that? If you don't at the top of your head, it's okay, but do you have any suggestions for Danielle?
There's something underneath that. And I'd get curious about that. Like, what had him say that? You know, I think being in the space, like as it's happening, it's a little abstract now already. I think, you know, it would be sort of like tactical for me to say it, but I think I would get curious about what has him say that.
So instead of saying, don't say that again, it's more, Matt, why did you say this? Asking the question, inquiring more.
Maybe I ask you now, what had him say that?
What had him say that? Right.
Like, I'm asking you, you know, you have it. You have a mastery over the spaces families go through. It's really clear.
For me, it would be,
what's your thought?
It usually is fear. It usually is insecurity. You know, when a parent finds out that their child has a disability,
it's like, hey,
it's like,
I heard you.
It's like, you know what? I failed. That's what it feels like at first.
Yeah.
And you got to get over that. You got to get over, I didn't fail.
The you got to get over that is a way to communicate about it. But there's another pathway, you know, hey, I want to offer you some reassurance you're not alone. Everybody feels that way. This is really what I get to deal with. I get to make the difference for families that are feeling that way. And as we work together, I'll support you. And frankly, if we create the right relationship, I'll help you interrupt some of the stuff that's not working for you. Maybe that's not this conversation, but I want you to know I got your back.
Got it.
That's a different way to respect the insecurity that's there. Does that communicate?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Boom.
Thank you. David, shall we move on?
We shall. We're at 3:45, but we're gonna wrap up. We got Chris next. We got Dawood. If you're gonna stay with us, we'd love to have you till probably 4-ish, but we'll definitely wrap by 4. So Victoria, go for it.
I'm just writing down respect the insecurity with like a big circle around it. I love it. Yeah, Chris, who would you like to play with, myself or David?
Since I've spoken to you a multitude of times, I want to talk to David, if that's cool.
Of course.
That is cool. Who do you want me to be, Chris?
Just, you could be yourself. Potential, just regular potential client that I would speak to, if that's cool.
That is very cool. Perfect. Let's rock and roll. Go for it.
Awesome. David, it's a pleasure to finally get to talk to you where you're not in passing behind Victoria's chair. So
it was behind this chair. That's where.
Was it that room?
Yeah.
So I know we only got a little bit of time. So I was wondering if you could just share with me what it is you're doing now.
I'm doing a couple of things. One is I'm a corporate trainer, coach, and I work with organizations. So I'm building my own expertise and practice around that. And then I've got a lot of ideas personally that I want to quote unquote unleash. I've got an idea of Unleash the Rush, and I'm writing books, and I'm also thinking about different career paths or new navigations that I'll be embarking on in the near future.
Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing all that with me. It's, if I could say so, it sounds that I can sense in a bit, there's a bit of passion behind what you do. Would you say that's correct?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. You got your hands on a lot of things. Then something's popping up for me. I want to ask is, what would you say? What do you find meaningful about what it is you're doing right now?
You know, when I started my career, I thought I was going to go to Wall Street, and that was the pathway to make money and happiness. And that shifted significantly many years ago. And I got over my own challenges socially and from a communication standpoint. And now I want to give some of those gifts to others, to organizations, and really have communication work, because clearly there's a lot of challenges in the world in communication, and have that on a very, very broad and impactful level.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I don't know about you, but that resonates with me very deeply. We haven't spoke yet, but I'm a coach as well. And I want to bring some of the adversities that I want to go through and help people transition from that. But enough about me. I wanted to ask you this, if you were cool with answering it, is let's say, can we play a game?
I like games.
Yeah, same. It's 3 years from now, we bump into each other on the street. And you say, Chris, David, so great to see you. Listen, I got to tell you about the last 3 years of my life, man. It's been crazy ever since that conversation we had. Let me tell you about it. What would you say?
I have absolute clarity and certainty in terms of my path forward. I'm impacting tons and tons of people. The book is going to be written and published, but many books are now written, and my voice and my message are clear. I've got a number of different businesses that I'm involved in and are growing and just creating incredible results and fulfillment inside my life.
That's a great, man. That's got me fired up. I know we don't have a lot of time, but you said something that was very, I didn't see is it done?
Oh yeah, we did. The bell just went off, but we can, 15 more.
I'm going to wrap it up here because I got to go as well. But you said something very important to me, at least, was that this thing around direction and clarity. And we got to leave. But I was wondering if you would be open to a no strings attached coaching conversation sometime next week, where maybe we could create some of that direction and clarity for you. And maybe you can get some value out of it, and I can learn a thing or two from you. How would you feel about that?
Sounds good. We're going to wrap it up here, Chris. That sounds awesome. How was that for you, real quick?
That was great. It was fun. So thank you.
Well done. And there was a drop into heart, which I really felt as you were doing that. So thank you for that. Let's go to the judges. Matt, you want to drop some wisdom and amazingness on us?
Well, I don't know about that. I have an 8.5 score, and I appreciate also the way you commit yourself to having people really look, and that it's something you're passionate about. It communicates, and there's skill there. I wonder what has you no strings attached. I guess what I want to say is there's I wonder if you have more to offer than you're sort of posturing yourself in a way that maybe is leaking power. If that makes sense, the way I'm saying it, it's like
that's been mentioned to me before.
So Maya Angelou said, humility is a virtue, but modesty is a sin. So there's some kind of possibility of like the difference you make that wasn't all the way clear. Like we got value. It's really great. I mean, I was thinking about it myself. Like, what are 3 years? Like, so there's value you're already creating, and there's more. I'm hungry for more. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for sharing.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Patricia.
I was actually going to highlight the heart-centeredness as well. The fact that that was totally there and definitely aspirational with that fun energy question, right? As to here we are in the future. So what does it look like? What's the conversation? Love the energy all around that. I actually appreciated the offer of the learn and share. I appreciated it because it's different than what I am normally used to hearing, which is always, consultation, and then, we'll see where we can take it from there. You were stepping into it like, hey, our future selves shared the conversation. So what if we just continued to have this conversation and I learn a little more from you, you learn a little more from me, just like we did in that future state. So I actually appreciated that synergy or parallel. I would say clarify, verify in regards to the pain. It wasn't, you had no idea what his pain is. Like, what does it look like if you don't get these books written? Who does it impact? What does your world look like at the end of the day? And where do you see yourself going without any of it? Right? So I think that would have drawn out some of those elements. And you cut yourself short on your identity as to who you are in this space. I think you could have stayed in there a little longer to really have him to see who you are as this person who's taking him on this journey. So I gave you an 8.2.
Awesome. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Chris. We're going to move this forward just because we have a hard stop at 4. And Dawood, you are last but not least. So we'll throw you into the mix with a certain level of efficiency here. But who would you like to work with? And we'll set the tone here.
Well, I would really like to work with Victoria, but the ask that I've got needs to be of a guy. So it's going to be you, David. And so if that's okay, Victoria, I'm going to go with you, David. And
Fine, I'll cry about it.
It was supposed to be you, but when I tell you what the scene is, so David, you are a successful chief executive. You've built a really powerful and impressive organization. And what I want you to do is come and tell your story at a men's prison that I'm going to go visit in a couple of weeks' time. And it's going to be a day out of your life, and you're a really busy guy. So, it's not, on the face of it, it's not all that glamorous, but that's what I want you to agree to do. Does that seem okay?
Perfect. Happy to do that. Ready?
Okay, let's go.
Go for it.
But hey, how you doing, David? It's been a while since we were doing those great talks, the template stuff that you guys were doing with 100 Black interns. Unbelievable, by the way. That was incredible feedback that we had. How you been doing?
Things are good. I'm building snowmen, building my
I saw that, yeah.
My life business, and things are good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, no, it's good to see you as well. One of the things that always strikes me as interesting is the way these small things in life have the biggest kind of impact on us, right? I can have a really busy week, but I do one thing, and I find that thing actually wasn't what it's counterintuitive, but that's the thing that actually makes my week. And I'm like so pumped that I did that thing, and it changed someone's life in some way. You ever find that?
Well, I have a very personal experience with you and what you mentioned earlier. It's just working within the umbrella that you've created and the people I've gotten to connect with inside of the 10,000 Black interns. Like it's when I think about fulfillment, that was something that really moved me.
I mean, look, you've really walked the walk, right? You've given up your Saturdays. I think you got up like 6 o'clock on Saturday morning. I mean, I know you're doing your cold showers and all that stuff at 4, so 6 is like late, but I got to say, I'm blown away. Listen, I was just thinking.
At that time, I was not getting up at 4 a.m. So that was a big. That was a big
deal. I know it was a big deal. But I just look in that vein and in that spirit. I just wondered. I sometimes make my way out to. There's a prison that I kind of go and visit some men, and those guys there have done some serious stuff in their time. They're doing some very long sentences. I mean, these are big crimes. They've made some 1 or 2 massive mistakes in their lives, and now I'm going out there and I'm spending time with them, just helping them to to just tell their stories and almost like hold up a mirror to themselves and just like, this is where I'm at. And it's, let me just give you one example. It's a guy called Melvin, and we were doing some work there and helping him to tell his story. By the way, these guys have never told their story in their lives, except to the judge. They never get to tell their story. And in prison, you've got to be like buttoned up, and you can't just, so it's a big deal. And I went one day, and it was Melvin's birthday. And the governor said to me, it's Melvin's birthday today, so he's probably not going to be there. And then Melvin shows up. I'm like, Melvin, I thought it was your birthday today. And he said, yeah, and my mom was supposed to come visit me today because it's my birthday. You get special visits from the family. But you know what? I told my mom, today's the day I tell my story. And Mom, I want to do that. So can you come a different day? So he doesn't see his mom for another 3 months because he wanted to tell his story. And we all sang happy birthday to him. And Melvin started to cry. And he then told his story. And it's amazing how it was all around his dad. He didn't have a father. He never knew his dad. And he wanted a role model. And he just, and then all the men, it's the same story. It's around their dad, around wanting a role model. And I just wondered, is there any way you could just come and tell your story, David? Because it's an incredible one, and it hasn't all been straightforward. There've been, stuff, as we've talked about it, right? I just wondered if there's any way it's a day out of your time, dude, but it would mean such a lot, for these guys to just see you and hear that you can make mistakes and you can get the boat back up. Would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm compelled. I definitely would love to learn a little bit more about the dynamics of it, but even before you asked, I was just picturing like being in that kind of environment and making that kind of contribution. So I'd love to. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dawood, how was that for you? That was awesome.
Yeah, it was, like I said, I wanted to be talking to Victoria, but I can't take Victoria into a men's prison. So, but yeah, I don't know how it landed. So I felt real for me, but anyway, I'd love to hear.
No, very real for me. Let's go to the judges. Matt, Patricia, I know you have a hard stop at 4, but we'll just do this quickly. And if anybody wants to stay, we can stay. But Matt, go for it.
As a storyteller and as someone who is committed to the emotional transportation business, I score you a 9.5 in that commitment and fulfilling on your commitment to create something as possible. I would say, thank you for the stand you're taking. You are creating it as a tax in a way. There's something about how you think it's going to land that is actually adding something to the space a little bit. And I wonder if I could just leave with maybe a pathway to explore. No is transformational. I know hello to yes is the conversation we're in, but if you delivered such that no could be fully embraced, no, I got it. You said no. Can we have a conversation about that? What's there for you around no? It would actually support even more of what you're committed to delivering for David and all the other Davids that you're inviting. So that you shared as a story about what happens and what's possible, it's so vivid and potent. So I really acknowledge that, and hopefully what I said provides you some of the access you're looking for. But 9.5, great way to end the real raw role play.
Thank you, means a lot.
Awesome, thank you, Matt. Patricia.
I love the fact that you stepped in building emotional rapport right away. You brought in the fun energy, speaking about the snow, the cold baths, all of that. I love the fact that you walked into aspirational energy in speaking to that one thing that could change everything prior to stepping into your story, because that really pre-framed the whole space. So I love that. I love the fact that you were also very clear on what the offer is. I am with Matt. The story was abundant. It was full of all the right things, and really drove the thought towards yes. So the area that I would say for clarification is really speaking to clarifying and verifying on the power of that impact, right? Of being able to tell your story and how that can cause, the whole, rebound. But I think you were ready to go there anyway, just ran out of time. So I'm with Matt with the 9.5. You are already just on the brim of that, but you hit all the right efforts, and you brought in the heart centeredness with the story and with the ask. And with the ask, you were so with the ask is where I felt a little unsurety into the ask. Like you weren't centered in the ask. It was more like, if you were interested, maybe, versus I've got this story. I know the impact. I'm certain on what I'm asking you and the power that you would have in this space. Take this offer, please.
Yeah, powerful.
Right?
Yeah.
So that would be my feedback, but 9.5. Love you guys. I gotta go. Appreciate you. Lovely to meet all of you. If you're on LinkedIn, I'd love to connect.
Yes. Me too. See you later.
So much.
All right, everyone, a quick roundup here.
I have to go too, David.
Will,
I will. Have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
everyone.
Everybody has to
Good
drop
to meet
off.
you.
A few quick words. Great to have you there. Just to say thank you to everyone. I know we're at 4:01. We went way beyond 3:45. So I apologize for the integrity there. Maybe I shouldn't be apologizing, but it's clearly an inconvenience to you if you had time blocked out. But we love this. We wish this could go on forever. So thank you all for being here. I think this was a powerful group. Victoria, what's the final here?
Yeah, I just want to introduce, just let everyone know, because I know we're also live on Facebook. We have an amazing challenge that's going on Saturday from 4 to 7. You don't have to be there the entire time, but it would be great to have people join. And it's something similar to this, but not, but is, but not. And I'm not sure what it'll be because it's the first one, but it'll be great. So if you're available and you are on Clubhouse, let me know. Text David if you have his number, and we can, pay you forward an invite, and we'll have some fun together. And I just am so glad that we did this. This was so much fun. Just having so many people that have just an incredible synergy and energy and a desire not just to sell, right, but to really influence people for the right reasons, influence people to understand how we can be of service to them, influence them for them to understand what they need in order to really reach their goals. Sometimes people know what they want or they think they do, but it takes someone like us to really guide them, and to do that with integrity and heart-centeredness is incredibly beautiful. So thank you, Patricia, Matt, for being our judges. You were incredible, and I knew that you would be. And all the participants that were here, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. It was so fun. David?
Cool.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. This was just beautiful. You don't have to be part of Clubhouse to join us on Saturday, too. So if you do have the time available, I'm happy to share individually or create that dynamic with you. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be competitive. There's going to be prizes. It's going to be a fun time. Also a way to build your business. So there's a lot of components there. With that, I will give you back nothing because we took so much from you, but hopefully you got something out of this, and love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.